So again, y'all, now that everything was revealed about the storm, the tempest, now I'm back to applying again. Okay. I've rebuked the storm. I've dealt with it, spiritual warfare, all of that. However, I'm still being met with pushback, still not getting job offers, still getting rejections. I'm like, God, what is going on? At this point, I'm like, I did everything you asked me to do. I prayed against the storm. I, you know, am making sure I'm, living righteous, holy, and pure. I don't have any doors open. And if I did, I'm repenting. I'm praying for God to close any doors that the enemy may have access into my life, right? So I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to God with all these concerns, all my complaints, all my worries, and fears. Yep, I was full of anxiety as well, worried because I have bills to pay. I have debt that I need to pay off. It's just a whole list of things and, visions that I've taken to God, and I've told him my plans. I laid it all out. And I'm like, God, I'm trying to pay off my debt. I'm trying to make right my wrongs, especially financially. This is not what I was expecting. And so I met with silence, but I kept applying. I didn't give up. I still kept applying. And so somebody had posted about a placement company, a job placement company that helps you find a job. And I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and apply. Didn't think anything of it. And I left it alone. No, actually, I found them on Indeed. I'm sorry about that. I found them on Indeed. And I went ahead and I applied, sent in my resume, and I didn't hear anything back for a while. So all of a sudden, I get an email from this placement company, and they're letting me know they're going to be doing a info session, and it's pertaining to a job that they're hiring for. Now they're only hiring in select states, and one of my state was one of the states they were hiring in. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and go to the info session and see what it's about. So I go to the info session. She lays out what the job entails, how much it's going to be paying. And I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Now, she lets us know if you're interested in moving forward, then you will need to message her with your name, information, best time for her to set up an interview with you, because you're going to have to read a script. They want to hear your voice. They want to make sure you're a good fit for that particular role. So it was like a 3-page script that we had to read. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, one battle after another. So for the next 2 days until I had my interview with the recruiter, I'm practicing the script. And so a lot of the words on this script were hard to say, but I got through it, and now the day came. So the interview begins with the recruiter, and she's just letting me know, you're going to be reading the script. Are you ready? She says, if you have any trouble with the words, let me know and I can help you. So I'm basically letting her know, well, I had trouble with this word and that word, but I've been practicing, so I feel like I'm ready. And she lets me know she's going to be recording me reading the script, because after she's done interviewing me, she's going to send it over to the actual company that's hiring for that particular role. And I had agreed, and I went ahead and I said the script. I messed up a little bit leading to the end of that script. And other than that, she told me you did great. She's asking me questions about prior experience that I've had and different things of that nature. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this seems to be like it's going in the right direction. She lets me know I did a good job. She says she doesn't have any concerns with me getting hired or not. She feels like I'm going to get the job. And so I'm like, okay, well, thank you so much for your time, and, have a great day. So it ends. All of a sudden, now I'm sitting, at home, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I did the best I could. And now it's a waiting period. So she reaches out to me probably 2 days later, and she's saying, we want to go ahead and get you um, in the system. We're still waiting on the company you'll be working for to reach out to us, but we want to go ahead and get you into our system. So the placement company they wanted me to go ahead and send in, personal information, go through the I-9 process, because this is a remote role. So I sent all of that in, but I'm still, on eggshells because I still don't know if I got the job. It took probably about another day or two before she finally reached out and let me know that the company wants to go ahead and move forward with me. They saw my interview video and they're ready to get me on board. I wish I could tell y'all when I found out I got the job that I was just jumping for joy and just excited and elated, but I wasn't. I was very, very numb and I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel joy. I just felt like I was emptied out. Going into spiritual warfare, finding out this was a spiritual storm, this was resistance, this was opposition, it was not God's hand. I just was tired. And now we'll see what happens on the other side of this storm.